This video is part of a series in which I show you my painting technique. The series focuses on Skaven, but the technique can be replicated on any miniature. What's in for you? If you like the miniature you have just seen and you want to paint to that level, but you think you're not quite there yet, pay attention to what is coming. I'm going to show you my technique step by step, based solely on very simple, basic techniques that can be applied practically even if you're not at your best, and which above all don't require a great deal of concentration. This is not a YouTube clickbait scam. It is really easier than it looks. This has turned painting from an overwhelming burden to an exciting joy, and I'm not overstating it. I know too well the stress and frustration that come from having ideas and expectations that go well beyond our skills. The result being that every paint job is disappointing. But it is not a fatality, and here is my way out. I think the key to this technique is to make painting fluid and satisfying, which will give you great motivation. And if your brain is enthusiastic about the idea of painting, you won't feel the weight of tiredness. If you put yourself at your painting desk every day, I can guarantee that sooner than you think, you will finally have painted the Warhammer army of your dreams. What do you have to do to make it happen? First, give the video a like and subscribe. Now look, the plan is to paint this miniature, a 3D print. It's not as friendly as a miniature from Games Workshop, and that's because Games Workshop designed their minis to make them easier to paint. Nonetheless, I start by preparing the miniature, that is to say, a white spray from above with an airbrush, called zenithal highlight. But while I start to paint the base coats of the metallic parts, and in fact all of the other base coats, listen to this, it's very important. There are rules for how light is supposed to work. I don't think I need to state them again. Namely that the parts facing the source of light catch the most light. Most often it comes from the top, from the sky. But then, the way it falls onto the miniature can be very subjective. It's in fact a choice. You choose the parts you want to draw attention to. Between these two quotes, which do you think is the truest? The source of the light defines the highlights, or the highlights define the source of the light? Of course, it's the latest. The highlights define the source of the light. You decide where the light comes from. There is not one single possible way to highlight a model. The artistic tastes and experience of the painter dictate the highlights. Just like you're free to pick the color, for instance here I'm selecting which parts I'm painting bronze, you can pick the intensity of the light. You could reverse the metallic and bronze parts on this mini, and I bet it would look cool as well. After a good wash to redefine the lines of the model, push the depth and give this oxidized metal look that the Skaven deserve, I sharpen the edges with a light metallic dry brush. Now, come to think of what makes some miniatures such a delight for the eyes. It is partly because there is artistic genius behind the placement of the light, which sometimes defies a realistic light placement. So, don't stress too much wondering if your light placement is realistic. The real question is, does it look good? One of the features on this mini that drew my attention as a worthy point of highlight were the knees. So you'll notice that as I add the colors, I preserve the higher light on the knees and darken their surroundings. To get back to the initial point, which is the white zenithal highlight over the black miniature, if your first attempt is a fail, start over. Surely not everything will be bad. Keep what you like, but don't be afraid to come back with black to replace shadows and after that to switch back again to white to try new light placements. If you think it's a waste of time, you're already stuck in your old ways and progress isn't meant for you. Think about it. Would you invest a bit more time to get a better understanding of the use of light in painting, or stay frustrated because you cannot paint to your expectations? The choice is yours. But if you want to try and understand light theory, the shortcut is to experiment in black and white. Too dark, paint it white. Too light, paint it black. Yes, it's a back and forth. Yes, you have to invest a bit of time in it. But think of how much more time you would waste by adding colors at these early stages. You'd have to switch color each time for the different parts, and the different colors make it harder for the eye to discern the different light values. Once you have an interesting sketch in black and white, you can add the colors following the sketch. That's exactly what I have been doing here. Instead of having to try to compute the light effects while at the same time trying to think of the colors, the brush control and everything, you'll be following the guide you've established for yourself. It feels like these paintings on easy mode for kids, where you color determined sections with a determined color. That's how you turn painting from an overwhelming burden to an exciting joy. Make it easy for you. As you see, I am mostly done with the robes and the details, and it was just a game of coloring following the sketch. I've saved my energy for the last step, the green parts. Green as in warpstone green, yes. The green will pop on this otherwise desaturated scheme for a lovely effect that will draw the attention around the head and on the blade of the weapon. And there are also these pipes. I see a way to make great use of them. It's connecting the tank on his back to his face mask. So it will convey a bright, luminous green gas, produced in the tank, right to his face, so that this technomagus can lift his consciousness to the highest spheres of spirituality, if you see what I mean. To do this, I'm going to illuminate the parts of the pipes that are angled, mainly on their external side, because as the pipe is stretched at this location, it will be the thinnest and most transparent, allowing us to see the fluorescent gas it contains inside. But before I finish the pipes, I had been thinking of a color for the staff. It must have been the design and mood of the model that somehow conveyed an idea of a high rank in the hierarchy, so that I've been inspired to try a red. That makes me think of an Asian imperial figure. Then I wash it with different dark colors so that it doesn't jump too much and steal the show. Only the bright green of the warpstone is allowed to do so. What you can see now is the process of shading with a darker color and then highlighting again with a lighter color. I'm just following along the black and white sketch established earlier. I finish with a dark grey dry brush to suppress the transparency of the pipes in their thicker sections, following the ripple texture that you can see. At this point, I had to think of how to complete the front of the miniature that looked a bit empty. On the back of the miniature, the purple tail brings a nice contrast, but in the white area on the robes in the front, it lacked something, despite the red of the staff. Hence, I decided to add colors to make it more interesting, but colors I had already used elsewhere, not to overthrow the color scheme. I add a couple of subtle reflections of green light as a little surprise for the most attentive eyes, finished the base and called it good. Thank you for watching. Your thoughts on this video are much appreciated, so feel free to go to the comment section to let me know. Again, give the video a like to help me, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and if you feel like helping the channel further and becoming a patron, you can visit my Patreon page linked in the description. That will allow me to make more videos more often. I'm Flo from Chronicles of Tiny Battles. See you next time.